Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. When I was a child, I heard about the story of Muhammad bin Qasim conquering Sindh at the age of 17. Modern estimates suggest that in late teens or early 20s. When I heard that story, even as I was a child, the story seemed too fictional to me. Growing up, whenever I thought about this story, it still seemed a bit fictional. As years passed, this question still penetrated my mind to solving that was the story real? Reading from academics and scientists, in order to prove a claim right, you should do either of two things. One is to see a live example or to find characteristics in that person. I never found a live example in any young person. Live examples seemed too impossible for me in this era where there are many hindering factors which were not in the past, and I'll come to them at the end of this introduction. Second is somewhat doable, which is to find the characteristics in a young person. There were four main characteristics I was always trying to find in such an individual. First is great intellect in terms of diversity in knowledge in politics, ethics, and fluency in language. Second is leadership and social skills. Third is brave enough to risk his life. And fourth is faith in God or correct morality. Finding all these characteristics in one person also seemed impossible in this era for the same hindering factors, which I'll come to them in the end. First is great intellect or diversity in knowledge in terms of politics, ethics, and language. Growing up, I remember watching many young top university students like that of Oxford that were quite fluent in political issues and language as well. But they all lacked confidence on the bigger stages, and they all lacked the other three qualities. Second quality is leadership and social skills that I found literally in no young person. The youth around the world is mostly fake. Even the talented ones run after corporate entities and develop no real leadership and social skills. So the Oxford students I mentioned, although they were bright but not socially intelligent, let alone leading anybody. As a leader, you should know how to work in a group and knowing the social behaviors of the surrounding people and be able to debate and handle the toughest questions. So I found this in literally no one. Third is brave enough to risk his life. Now I found this quality hard in anybody around the world, but I did found it in a few places. Palestine is a perfect example where many young people are ready to sacrifice their lives, but the pattern of such people are that their get-up is quite poor and careerless. They have nothing to lose, so they naturally are brave enough to risk their lives. But when you are so talented and a prodigy and then risk his life, there is something very special in it. Fourth is faith in God, because without the correct morality, objective morality, and the connection with the infinite realm, nothing is meaningful. So finding even two of these out of the first three qualities was always impossible to find for me, let alone finding all four of them. But in 2025, after doing a bit of research, I finally found them in one person. Great intellect in terms of diversity in knowledge in politics, ethics, and fluency in language. I've seen that this person had been debating since he was 16 with great fluency and had given several lectures at a young age on a variety of topics, including 3 speeches at TEDx. Second is leadership and social skills. When I heard his 2012 lectures on Gaza, and how he was handling the toughest questions from all people in his early 20s, and not to mention award-winning documentaries leading people alongside him. There are also other qualities I identified, like waking up at the right time on the topmost issues, confidence in dealing with issues, dealing with specifics. This shows great leadership and social skills. Third is brave enough to risk his life, and I saw this person doing it while covering the wars in Gaza in 2012 and 2014. Israel used to bomb a place and he used to go to that place. And finally, when I heard that he became a Muslim revert, my heart sank, and it was like I found my topmost hero of this era. But not only that, with time that thought, the story of Muhammad bin Qasim re-emerged in my mind, and my heart testified that seeing all these characteristics, maybe that story of Muhammad bin Qasim was not that fictional after all. And it got me quite emotional. But you know what the scary thing is? There are two very important things to consider. Remember the hindering factors I talked about? In the past, there were not burdens of corporate nature of society. There were not burdens of overpopulation, urbanization, industrialization. People are usually shunned in their youths in modern era. They are surrounded by identity crisis, age superiority complex, greater competition, late maturity. So these are all the hindering factors which were not in the past. In the past, there were lesser populations or lesser people to lead, no corporate nature of society, no urbanization, no industrialization, and power usually transferred through lineages anyways. So surpassing all these hindering factors, considering all these hard hindering factors of the modern times, and still fulfilling all those characteristics, I would argue is even a bigger example of young age heroism we have today. But you know what? The other scary thing is, it is that I found way more qualities than the four mentioned before. I believe people like these are born once in a century, maybe once in centuries, and it is such an honor to be sitting with this person, this hero, the one and only, the Harry John Fear. It's an honor to sit with you, sir, and have this moment. Assalamu alaikum, and how are you?
Salam. I'm fine. I reject all of that, and I don't relate to it. And I think that our need for heroes is a problem, to be honest. I think it is best to keep heroes as fictional. I think leaders are fine, but it's best to keep heroes as fictional. In 2025, I don't see too many. And I feel that the essence of what we used to call a hero is sort of corrupted with time, and the meaninglessness that permeates so many aspects of life, that our sort of use of the word hero gets degraded more and more with time. So that's the general, but I reject all of the praise and all of the pedestal, and look forward to discussing the topics with you.
Yeah. You use the word heroes. You had heroes as well?
I sort of had heroes, yeah. I was very inspired by John Pilger, the filmmaker. And the Nobel lecture from the playwright Harold Pinter, I'm not going to say he was a hero for me, but that lecture was very formulative for me. And yeah, it was an honor actually to be sort of praised by John Pilger. You know, to interview him a few times was a dream come true for any sort of aspiring journalist, and to have his praise was a dream come true, yeah. But again, to be honest with you, it kind of feels surreal. I can't really relate to it, but I can cognitively understand that it's nice. Yeah.